Thrive Talks. I'm your host, Zach Hunsinger, joined by the insightful Kerry Ritter, and we're thrilled to guide you through the fascinating intersection of triathlon and holistic well-being. This is where we dive deep into the captivating world of triathlons, unearthing the stories, strategies, and science that drive peak performance. But we don't stop at the finish line. We journey further, exploring how these very principles can augment your general health and wellness. Today's episode is an intriguing one because we changed it about 3 minutes before going live. So we're going to be pulling back the curtain on the often overlooked aspect of travel setup for triathlons. We'll be offering tips to ensure your journey will be as smooth as your race, and we'll also share my preparation for the World Championships and tackle the Kona Nice situation. So whether you're a seasoned triathlete and an aspiring enthusiast, or simply someone keen on enhancing your health, Triathlon Thrive Talks is your dynamic platform for comprehensive insights and empowerment. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready to thrive in the world of triathlon and beyond. Let's dive in. What are we tackling first?
Well, I love that intro because I have no idea what you're going to say, so I'm just kind of along for the ride. And I
don't know what I'm going to say either until it pops up for me. It's in here, I write it, and then we're done. So.
And I just spotted the master wizard of technological innovation. That is not my official job title, but I'm going to put in a request to augment that. I think that's a little better.
Well, you're the chief technology officer, right?
That's the official name, but that is a little bland. I think you got a future in marketing.
It's funny you bring that up because I do act as a business analyst for some of my small business clients and medium-sized clients. So thanks for that segue. If you're looking for an excellent business attorney, hit me up.
Very cool. We just got 2 plugs
in a matter of moments. Completely natural. I love it.
Done.
All right, so we got World Championships coming up. What do you think about it?
I just saw yesterday that Christian Blumenfeld is racing. Did you know that?
I saw he was a maybe because he did the 70.3 Worlds like 3 weeks ago or something, and he had a bad, for him, performance, and he wanted to redeem himself. So yeah, Blue is going to be at the starting line apparently.
Yeah, him and Joe Skipper were chatting, and he's coming out, which blows my mind. You follow Super League Triathlon at all?
No, I don't.
So that's super short course, right? That's what do they call it? F1 style racing, where it's swim, bike, run, and then whatever else. Like sometimes it's run, bike, swim. Sometimes it's bike, swim, run. Like it's an amalgamation of the different sports in random orders. It seems. I don't know if they actually have a set order or not. But he just raced 2 days ago in the most high competitive short course triathlon, and was like in the top 30% of that. And now he's going to race the World Championships of the longest distance, which is just crazy.
Blumenfeld?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he's been working on Olympics for, since he won that last championship.
Because he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Right, and now he's trying to go back to that. And then he's doing SLT. So I thought he was done with long course, but I guess he was mad about how 70.3 went. So,
okay.
I don't know, man.
I think a lot of people were mad about 70.3. I did watch Lionel's video, which I appreciate. Like, I think everybody respects Lionel, and if you don't, you're wrong. And he's an excellent supporter of the sport. I mean, I don't know a better ambassador out there than him. So, anyways, I watched that, but I watched too many videos is really the segue because apparently the pros have been in Nice for 2 weeks or more, and riding the hills and getting ready for the course. GTN has been there. They talked to Rudy, who's one of the favorites to win the race.
Oh.
And what you were saying that it's like the championship course is a biker's course. What were you? How do you describe it?
Cam Worf was talking with Bob. Breakfast with Bob or breakfast at Bob?
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Bob. Yeah. Just talking about it's a very surprisingly challenging bike course. And so if you're a strong biker, you should be doing some good damage there. I don't know if comparatively, like if I don't know if it becomes a cyclist race necessarily, or if it's just the bike course is hard. I don't know what the run course looks like. So, what does the run course look like? I hope
yeah,
you
the
know.
last I saw. All right, so we'll try sharing. I'll try sharing my screen without getting us banned here. We'll see what happens. We know how
Iron
Ironman.
Man logo were shut down.
Yeah. All right. So this is 70.3. So that I'm in the wrong one. Where did it go? Give me a moment. Hey, this is the course that I qualified for the Worlds in.
Wisconsin, man, yeah. The Racing Madison. I don't know how you did all those hills and torrential downpour. And
it was not. Well, that's the only reason.
Very few of you got off the bike, right?
That's what I was gonna say. That's the only reason I won the race, or not won the race, qualified. Was only 1/3 of the people who started the race crossed the finish line, so it made it a lot easier for me. But all right, yeah. So it's supposed to be a really, really flat course. I mean, 100 meters elevation gain, and then it's just down, back, down, back, down, back 4 times. Wow. So 10K, 20K, 30K. No, it's 5K. Holy smokes. Yes, everyone, I'm racing this in less than a week, and I'm just now learning that it's a 5K, 10K.
Well, if it makes you feel better, the first
15K.
7.3 I did, I walked up to the race director and said, "So it was a pretty flat run, though, right?" He just kind of laughed and said, "No, it is not." I didn't know how to read elevation maps very well at the time, and I didn't necessarily read much, so I kind of deserved it. But I learned one lesson after that, I guess.
Well, that's the run course. Should be flat. Little worried about the weather, as it's gonna.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't think I would be, given how we're used to St. Louis heat, but they're predicting, be in the 80, 82 or 83. And humid. So not a good run sort of environment.
I say I'm doing a run after this in that exact same climate, so I'll let you know how it goes. And
yeah, I guess
I'll lie to you and tell you it was really fun.
I'm trying to find the weather on online, but apparently I don't know how to find the weather for Nice, France. There we go. So that's today.
What time do you guys started like 7, or they started earlier or later?
Yeah, I should also know that. Why are you asking me all these questions I don't know the answers to? I assume it starts at a normal time, but so look at all this junk. I'm never coming back to weather.com. It's just full of junk. 83 is the high. Yeah. And wind 5 to 10 miles an hour, not too bad, but yeah, 83. So gonna be warm, no protection out on the beach as you're running alongside that. So yeah, all right. So the bike course is supposedly the hardest on Ironman. It has I think like half a kilometer, steepest half kilometer, 5K and 10K grades. And as you said, Cam was saying that it benefits the cyclist, the course does. And I am not a cyclist, so I'll be happy if I finish the bike portion in around 6 hours, which is incredibly slow for my other races. Not going to be a PR, I guess is what I'm saying.
You'll find out. So speaking of what time the race starts, how are you have to adjust to a 7-hour time difference? Does that mean what's that look like? How many days ahead of time are you getting there? How are you gonna?
We're flying out tomorrow. Everyone was saying like you definitely need to get there a week in advance. As I said, the pros have been there for a few weeks already. And that was something I really kind of struggled with considering, because I want to be competitive, but I also am constrained by the realities of life. This is not my job. And so taking off and flying is not conducive, and also the kids. I can't, I wanted to bring the kids, but they're going to be missing school and for a week at a minimum, because we're coming back after a week. So didn't want to take the kids out of school. I guess I could have gone alone, which I don't know if I want to be 2 weeks away or a week away from my family either. So it's just kind of like that balance between getting there early or not. I've traveled a whole lot around the world and dealt with time zones before, so I'm not like super concerned about it. And frankly, I don't think I really rest that well before races anyways. And I certainly never sleep the night before a race. So I don't think there's any, I don't think that's going to be a factor. So maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think that'll be a factor. I think the big factor is probably nutrition and getting squared up. Because I mean, I don't know much about French grocery stores, and my diet is pretty routine. I think many people would hate my lifestyle, but like I ate the same breakfast. I had the same breakfast every single day since January, or maybe even longer. Like I haven't changed that.
Yeah, I've had the same bagel for the last like 3 years.
The same bagel. No, not even cream cheese, just the bagel.
It's a little disgusting depending on who you ask, but and it's changed a little bit over the years, but bagel, some sort of binder, whether that is vegan cheese, vegan cream cheese, and the nutritional yeast and salt. So it's like
What is nutritional yeast?
It's like a cheesy kind of powder thing. It's all the vegans eat it. I promise. It's like a
that's not exactly a selling point, but fair enough.
We have some good food.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, it's like, all right. So AI is saying
I'd never heard of it before.
As nooch, nooch. Am I saying that right?
Nooch, and I've never heard anyone call it that in earnest. It's kind of like a joke as far as
all right.
But yeah, it's got this cheesy kind of flavor to it. It's got a fair amount of protein. It's the one of the few places where B12 can be consumed outside of animal products without being like supplemented as a pure supplement.
Well, yeast is an animal, right? It's a bacteria.
So it's not, nutritional yeast isn't like yeast.
Okay.
I don't really know the classification of it as a food, but
all right.
It sounds disgusting. Like nutritional and yeast, and like put those two words together, to me, it doesn't sound flavorful. A little off topic, but yeah, that's what I do every single morning for the last 3 years, and not changing. I don't like change.
I too am a creature of habit. All right, so maybe people would hate your meal for me. Your story topped me on that one. Mine's just yogurt, honey, and fruit. So and oats, like a granola mix or whatever. Yeah. So presumably I can find that off the Mediterranean. But then what are we doing for lunch and dinner and so on? My nutritionist is worried about it, so we'll see how.
I actually don't know anything about French cuisine in general.
I heard it's really good. I hate food, so it's just, I don't know. It's kind of annoying, but we'll find out. This is kind of how this is really going. And I guess I kind of have like this guilt feeling too with this, like, oh, we'll find out sort of mentality, because a lot of people, what's that saying, like, although it's me in the race, like it's a solo sport, it sure takes a lot of people to get me to that start line. And a lot of people made sacrifices. My coach certainly sacrificed a lot to work with me, and my wife and my kids and family. So like, I definitely want to do well to respect that sort of energy they've given. But then at the same time, like, it's the hardest course. I'm not particularly prepared for it on the bike. And so like, I don't want to, I want to do good for those reasons, but I also want to be realistic and not blow out my legs on the first 60K, which is like the main climb. So
I mean, it's more about putting out your best effort than it is what the output says, you know.
No, that's not. It's what the output says. What are you talking about? That's what if it's not on Strava, it doesn't count.
There's too many variables in this sport for me to put a lot of onus on the output. For me, it's like if I'm putting my whole 1,000% into it, where I land is where I land.
Yeah, but how do you know you're putting that 1,000? I think that's a really good point, and thank you for saying that. I know after the Newtown race, you and I kind of debriefed about how poor I was feeling about my results, and you were encouraging. So thank you for being the positive element of the day. But how do you know in that moment you're putting 1,000% into it? To me, it's either balls to the wall, like I'm full out, or I'm taking it easy. I don't know the middle ground, if you will, to say like, yeah, I felt really good through 180K biking, that I could say at every moment I was giving it my best. I'd say half of it, most likely, like half of it I was giving it my best, and half of it was like, whatever. And I'll be quiet and let you answer my question. Once I just finished this last example for like the Wisconsin race, you already said it was super windy and rainy. And I was coming in at the 90K, halfway point, and I was like, look, I can keep pushing, and I think that's going to be really difficult, and maybe make my estimated time, or I can sit back and kind of just zone 3 it and get whatever time I have. And I thought to myself, I was like, I don't even think that's really a decision. I don't think I could go any harder, so I'm just going to relax and take it from there. And I don't like. Does that mean that was 100%? And to me, that sounds like no.
Well, I would say for me, I know what I can push, and I say that because last year, I think it was last year, the year before, I had a shoulder injury, and so I knew I couldn't really swim and I couldn't really do the run, but I knew I could bike. So like, I'm just going to bike as hard as I possibly can, and it was actually a double triathlon. And I learned later, by the way, the reason I had a shoulder injury is because I broke all the ribs on my left side, and that was the pain that was coming out. That's a whole nother story. That was fun.
Is that when did you crash your gravel bike?
Yeah, that was when I crashed my bike. I hit a tree, broke all my ribs. I thought it was just shoulder pain. I learned when I went to ER much later that I had cracked all those ribs, and I was lucky enough that they all healed in place.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
You're like Wolverine or Deadpool.
I got lucky. But I pushed that bike so hard that I couldn't do the rest of the run. Like, I was just cooked. So I know when I'm doing a 70.3, like if I push too much harder, I'm not going to be able to do the run at 100% either. So for me, heart rate zones are how I'm able to measure whether or not I'm putting out as much as I should put. I know you race more off power and pace. But I'm racing much differently than you. I'm in the middle of the pack, and there's not a whole lot further I'm going to go right now. So, and that's the way I look at it. If I will put 1,000% into the last 3 miles of the run if I have it, and if I didn't, that means I did the rest of the race not to plan. So that's the way I look at it. The real race starts in the last hour of a 70.3 for me. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's the way I look at it, right? Because I'm not that competitive. And that bike, I know I'm putting out my full effort based on my heart rate. I know what zone I need to be in. I can push it to the top of that zone. If I go much further, I'm not going to be able to execute the run the way I need to. And then not going to be able to push that last mile or last hour.
That's fascinating. Yeah, this is fascinating. I forget people think about stuff differently than me. I like the idea of like you can't perform the run because of the ride. Like, I refuse to believe. I'm sure it's true, and there's probably tons of science behind it, but I emotionally cannot believe that.
I learned it firsthand. I was like, I'm just going to be tired for the run. But no, I got off that bike. It was like a 12-miler, but I pushed everything I could push because like if I might drop out, so might as well go as hard as I can, and then my legs just wouldn't go at all.
But if you're tired no matter what. I've never ever been on a run after the bike and been like, oh, this is easy. This feels good.
I mean, it's always hard, but I had nothing to give. It was
that sounds like the first thing I think is that's nutrition. Then you needed to eat more is what I'm I'm thinking, but
I
what
mean,
do
I
I
was
know?
following the plan. Everything felt good. I felt fueled. It's just, I don't know, man. I was zapped. But like I said, it was a double. So I hopped in the pool after I slogged through the run, and just the cold water just kind of woke me up, and I was able to kind of finish the race. But
I did. Oh man, speaking of swim, so we were talking about tapering actually, and you had some fun examples of poor tapering. While I pull this up, what were you saying?
yeah, the conversation was around, someone's doing their first Ironman, and they did a race pace marathon 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that Ironman. And if you know much about tapering, I mean, I'm not a long distance guy yet, but I say yet because I'm excited.
I know. I heard that. Yeah, good job.
We're getting there. We're getting there. You don't really want to be race pacing your distance that close to the race. And it's, I think, something that coaches see a lot of people that are just anxious that they haven't done that distance. So they just want to, prove themselves that they can. But as long as you're putting in the consistency and the mileage week in, week out, trust the plan and you'll perform.
Well, that's what my coach put. He not only did he put in my training peaks. Don't push this runner. Like, there's nothing you can do between now and Worlds that's going to make you fitter.
Yeah.
Or faster, but fitter. And then he called me and reiterated that. So he's definitely worried about me falling prey to like pushing it to the end. But no, I definitely have trained through races, but those have typically been 70.3s.
Yeah, and they'll be intentional.
Exactly. Like I was gonna train through Springfield when that was still scheduled. Just given like I didn't have time to take a full sort of taper and still get back onto pace. But all right, so this is talking about swimming. So I went out for a open water swim 2 Fridays ago, and it was 106 degrees outside. I think the water is probably like 95. And this was on my 4th lap. So this was around 3,200 meters. And as you see, this is where I went delirious and had a heat stroke, because I did not mean it. I thought I was going straight, but I ended up peeling off, thinking I was going straight into the middle of the lake instead of going this way. And then I stopped like right here. And I was like, why? I don't recognize any of these buildings, because I look out to my right and I was like, I don't recognize any of these. So I stopped and I was like, I'm lost. How did I get lost? And then I saw this. All right, we're going and we're done. We are done. So that was a bad experience for my swimming at that juncture.
That's fun. Have you ever sighted off of a moving object before?
No, I have not, thankfully.
And it was in a lake I don't ever really swim in, and I was sighting off of this boat that had a yellow roof, so it was very like visible. But what I didn't realize was the boat was actually in the water and not docked.
Oh, no.
And so I was basically chasing a boat around, and it didn't really work out. I got a little disoriented, but got out of the water. So I mean, not all is lost, but
that's good.
Not a great approach.
No, I'm not. So I am worried about the swim. It's in the Mediterranean, so it's my first saltwater swim, and my wetsuit is.
Are you gonna practice that beforehand with the salt water?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't.
It's gross. I hate it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm terrified of it. I'm afraid of. I'm already afraid because my neck's been chafing in fresh water, so I don't see how salt will help. And then I'm also afraid the salt will like get into my nooks and crannies and then chafe me for the next 12 hours as well.
Yeah. Well, I've seen in some of these races that have like a sprinkler system you run through.
That's not going to get the nooks and crannies I'm thinking about.
It's fair enough. Fair enough.
So yeah, I think I'm going to try it out. I might bring both my wetsuits, and I haven't trained in my old one at all, and see if that feels better. But not looking forward to that. I can tell you.
The thing I don't like about saltwater swimming is like when we're racing in lakes, we all drink the lake water to hydrate.
Thank you for saying that. All right, we'll come back to that point, but go ahead.
we all drink the lake water to make sure we're hydrated throughout the swim. You know, you try to drink at least half a gallon of lake water, and that's how you stay hydrated for the bike. But for the in the salt water, you know, it's disgusting. You don't want to drink that, but you have to. You got to drink at least a half gallon of salt water, and that keeps the electrolytes for the bike. And it's just a little harder to do.
All right. Well, I love the sarcasm
If you want
piece.
more coaching advice about swimming and triathlons, you can contact me.
Yeah, go to Zipper, look up Kerry, and he'll coach you. There you go.
I think it was Newtown where it came out of the water. I had drank some of that by accident. To be clear, don't drink lake water or salt water. And like I just had this phlegm in the back of my throat for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
I think that was Newtown, but
I think Newtown's water's gotten cleaner, at least judging by how much green comes off of me when I wipe off with the towel. But so during that really delirious hot swim, you know, I was swimming for an hour 15. The following was 90 minutes. So, I mean, how often do you do any exercise and not have a single sip of anything for an hour or 90 minutes? And it was just so hot. And I remember having to fight my body from drinking that water. I was like involuntarily sucking it in and then trying to decide, like, am I swallowing this or not? And I'm sure, and I did on a few occasions, but it did not quench my thirst. But the problem is I read this survival book where you need to drink lake water if that's the only water you have. And I was like, well, it's a survival book. It must be okay. So, but the answer is no. You don't want to do that. You want to avoid it. And that is a part of my biggest fear for swimming is I'm going to be thirsty. I'm not used to being thirsty for that long.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I said I've only done the 70.3s, so for me it's like 40 minutes or so, not an hour and a half. So hard to say.
Well, we're coming up on the time, and there's I think just a few final points we wanted to go over, which was how does it feel to race a world championship slot, and what's the Kona Nice rivalry. Perhaps I'm going to say that. I don't know if anyone else would agree with it, but so it's true that they increased the number of slots available, given that the men are one day and the women are the other day in two separate locations. But many thought this would be kind of a dilution of the competition, but it turns out that's not the case according to triathlete.com or Triathlete Magazine, if you agree with them. It's just sorry, let me go to the conclusion since we're already short on time. The data shows that the athletes might not have as high of a rank. The extra slots are actually going to very fast triathletes who are no slower than the rest. So that's, I think, interesting. It's just it seems to be this plateau of the same sort of competitive athletes, and it becomes almost randomized or luck of the draw for that day, who during that specific race performed better than other people rather than individually. So I think that's kind of a unique finding. And then I guess personally, it's terrifying. I'm not happy about it. I don't think I have any positive feelings about racing against world championship caliber people. I think that goes back to the guilt piece. I feel like I want to do really well, but the odds are I'm not going to do really well. I'll probably be in like the bottom 25%. And that's not a happy place to be, especially if you're suffering for 12, 13 hours through the course. And definitely watching the pro videos did not help. I mean, it's like, there's a few things, I guess I should say, like there's some stuff that's cool about racing the world championship, that it is everywhere. I mean, I went to triathlete.com's website, and of course the homepage is boom, Iron World Championships, GTN has all kinds of videos going on. I mean, it's everywhere. And so that's like a kind of cool to think like I'm a part of that. I will be there. And then though, that's a lot of anxiety. It provokes a lot of anxiety because you're like, oh my God, like this is actually like the real deal. This isn't going out in your local race and bumping a few elbows. Like it's legit high caliber individuals. And then I'm a licensed social worker, so I've studied a lot of psychology and inner relationships and the inner demons and stinking thinking, cognitive behavioral therapy. But I don't know if you have if you're aware of like the triangulation inside, but there's always that orphan inside your head who says you are not worthy of, you're not good enough, that sort of those negative feelings. And that's certainly rearing its ugly head. And this being like, oh, you don't deserve this. You shouldn't, you're not going to compete well enough to be there. You're going to embarrass yourself. Why are you even like those things you really have to compete with inside your head. And so, I mean, triathlete, they say is 3 disciplines. I think it's probably like 5 or 6 disciplines, but certainly the mental game is one of those. And then the final thing I think you wanted to bring up or go over was the races for the next World Championship slot that's starting in this season now. For the men's Kona 2024 is supposed to be incredibly more competitive because there's the theory that this is the last men's World Championship event at Kona. So to qualify is going to be additionally difficult. So I've talked for like 3 minutes straight, which is a bad host. Kerry, how do you want to finish us up here?
No, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. You asked me about going to Nice, and I'm not that sentimental about, where a race is being held personally. So I realize that's probably not everybody. I think there's a lot of, history around Kona and everything about it. So it'll be interesting to see how the community responds to it. But, there's so much going on with the attempt to race at Kona. And I think they did a lot of damage this past race with the multiple days. I think they broke a lot of trust between the local community at Kona. So I think they'll figure it out. It's an event company. They'll figure out how to run an event. So
well, I think they'll go somewhere else. I mean, if Kona doesn't want them, that's fine. Like,
yeah,
other communities need that money. Like, right, maybe not need, but like it certainly helps.
Yeah.
People go to Hawaii already. Like I don't think they need Ironman to sell out their hotels. Yeah. So I think they actually do have some strong bargaining power. One of the few entities in the world that has bargaining power with the beast that is Ironman.
I think they need to bring it to St. Louis. And on that note, I have Airbnb, and I think.
Do you really? That's awesome.
I wish.
Well, I wanted to get an Airbnb. I wanted to buy an Airbnb before the Gateway Cup and host that out. But you said you don't like to travel, so you're not going to go to Kona or Nice. So you don't care a bit.
Yep, not really. It's I like the race for the experience more so than the course or anything like that. Like, I'm not going to do the same race over and over and over and over, but I have the memory of a gnat. So by skipping, Newtown this year, it's going to be a brand new race course to me next year. I'll have no idea what it was.
Okay.
Like all new experiences every time I race it, but I'll drive to a race. I'm not going to fly. It was not a fun experience for me.
Well, all right. Well, I'll let you know how everything goes. Big thanks to Power Up Cycling and Big Shark, especially my coach who's loaning me his bike travel bag, which is he took time out of yesterday's pro race to at the Gateway Cup to show me how to get my bike into the bag. So big thanks to that. Big thanks to Zipper for letting Kerry have some free time to do this.
Well, I'm billing you by the hour, so.
And then if we can manage it, we'll have around this time next week, a post World Championship race episode with me still in France and you, because you refuse to travel back outside of St. Louis. So, all right, everyone.
I have one request before you go.
Yeah.
You mentioned, people are relying on you. I'm relying on you to go have a good time at this race and enjoy every bit of it as much as you can. I don't care where you end up. Just enjoy the damn thing.
Thank you. You're my positive influence. This is why you should be a coach. Imagine how many people you would inspire and motivate.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that.
All right. Well, cheers, everyone. We'll see you next week.